Hi, everyone. I'm Peter Ng, and welcome back to Catching Up, the podcast where conversations don't end when the bell rings. If you're new here, make sure you follow us on Instagram at the Catching Up Podcast for clips, updates, and behind the scenes content. Today, I'm reconnecting with Natalie Fuentes, who's now a student and is expected to graduate this December. I'm very excited to catch up with her. Natalie, where are you attending school?
I'm attending school in UCF right now.
Oh, okay. So you're still in the Orlando area.
Yes.
Okay, very cool, very cool. So you're almost done from the sounds of it, because I saw that you graduated 2019. You must have taken my class 2017.
Yes.
Okay, wow. So time flies, huh?
Yes. I was thinking about it the other day. I think you were almost around my age when I met you.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. I started teaching, yeah, 24, 25 around then. So actually, yeah, about 24 because this is my 10th year teaching.
Yeah, and I'm
So
turning
it's
25 this summer.
oh man, making me feel
It's
crazy old.
crazy.
I just had an episode recently where I got to record with Brianna,
Mhm.
and yeah, it was so fun just like recollecting so much because for the people listening at home, how do we know each other?
So you were my anatomy teacher my sophomore year. It was my first year back into Orlando since I had moved away for freshman year. So I didn't know anything about you or anything. I just, since I was taking AP Psych at the time, I thought that anatomy would be a good way to also like I thought that I would kind of get like a kind of a heads up from knowing about the brain a little bit. So I was almost done with my science credits and I just wanted a fun class to do basically.
Okay, yeah, I mean there is a good amount of crossover. I do think my class is fortunate enough that there's quite a bit of like cross pollination with other science classes.
Yeah.
Um, but it's interesting because like sometimes the reason why like kids take my class varies dramatically. Sometimes it's like, oh, I want to be a doctor, I want to go work in nursing or something. More recently, it's I've been fortunate that it's been more um, word of mouth, or like kids want to take my
Positive
class.
reviews.
Yeah, positive reviews. So I'm like, okay, I really appreciate that. But in the early days, there was quite a bit of variety of why the kids were taking it. So it's interesting to hear what drew you to the class in the first place. When you decided to sign up for it, was this like, were you drawn to science already at that time?
I think I liked a lot, learning about anatomy and knowing about the brain and, um, all those types of things, so I feel like it was just a fun class, and especially because at that time, the last thing I wanted to do was, like, physics or chemistry, and I thought, anatomy would be fun, but, I can't remember if it was my counselor who put me in your class. But obviously I had no knowledge of any teachers at Timber Creek, so that's why I was like, "Oh, like, okay, like, whatever," because 'cause I'm never really picky about my teachers or anything.
Mhm.
But I thought it was so fun because I noticed that, um, some of my favorite teachers were, they always had their degree in the subject that they were teaching. So when
Mm.
when you had your degree in all this, I think it was like what, neurobiology, it was something like crazy.
Close enough.
It
Yeah,
was
molecular
yeah,
microbiology.
it
Yeah.
was something crazy, and I thought like those were always like my classes that I had the best time in because I could tell that like it was something that you really knew about and you knew what you were talking about.
Sure. Yeah. And it's not an offense to any teachers. I know quite a number of teachers that went like the traditional way and
Yeah.
went to school for education. But I think when you have people like myself that find their way into teaching, we're fortunate enough that the subject matter we already feel comfortable with, but you just got to learn the actual teaching skills. And sometimes it comes natural. I think I've been pretty lucky with that myself. And I learned a lot along the way, but it didn't feel like something very difficult for me to do per se. Um,
Yeah. No, because there's a
but
lot of teachers that have, I think what stood you out the most, I think it was just that you knew how to teach and keep engaged as much as possible, and it was one of those things where, like, nobody wanted to disappoint you. I have the craziest memory, I think, of the class that I was in, got in trouble with a substitute one time, I think it almost killed me because I was like, "Oh my god." I was like, "When Mr. Ng comes back, he's gonna know that we did terrible." And I think it was the quietest day of that class ever. And I think after that, people like felt so bad to act that way that like I think that class never acted out again.
Was that a day that I came back and gave like a disappointed dad
Yes. Oh my god. It was
look?
so terrible, and I was like, "Oh my god." And I think it was so crazy because I don't even remember like why we got in trouble. I just remember you were like saying that you were really disappointed, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is I'm like this is it."
That's, I mean, listen, I first of all, I never try to raise my voice ever, especially as the adult in the room. Like it's not an appropriate reaction.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like it's, first of all, it's me being honest. It's not like just putting on a show or whatever, just to try to elicit an emotion or reaction out of my students. But it kind of goes back to what I've emphasized is like, yeah, focusing on being like that honesty side of things and being transparent with everyone. And just like I love when I get to connect with each and one every one of you guys, and you guys feel like comfortable in my
Yeah.
classroom. It also disappoints me when like things don't go the way they I would have liked. And it's not like, it's not something I carry with me where it's like, oh, I'm gonna change my perspective of you guys for the rest of the school year. Of course not.
Yeah.
But I'm very much the type of person that I'll say what I need to say and then we move on.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be like giving everyone glares for the rest of the day.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
But one of the things I love asking my guests early in the episode, at least, is I love asking them, what's something that you learned today? So, Natalie, if you want to take it away, what's something you learned today?
Something I learned today was actually how to change which is so random. The lights in the back of my car. I
Oh,
uh I realized that they were out, and apparently, if nobody knows, it is against the law for the lights to not show your license plate. So,
that is
um
that is true. Yep.
I did not even know that those were supposed to turn on. So I ended up being able to find a video, and I was able to change them myself. So I was really proud that I was able to figure it out.
Wow,
Um,
look at you go.
so that's what I learned today. I learned a new car fact.
I'll be honest. I'm incredibly unhandy. I don't know what the opposite of handyman would be.
Mhm.
Um, but in those positions, I think I would try to look up something to be like, oh, how do I do this? But my brain struggles to process a lot of the things that you do with your hands, I guess. Like,
Yeah,
I eventually get it after trying enough times, but man, that is like some of my biggest struggles I've had in life. Is just like rather mundane things that just require
like
using
some
your
handiwork.
skills. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
My wife is more the handy person in our family, so I'm perfectly fine with that. That is not
Yeah,
a
that's
thing that I
okay.
get ashamed of.
Yeah, no, I know. I think
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I had a thing too, but go ahead. Continue with your
oh,
story.
no, 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 I was just saying that yeah, so I learned how to change it, and I, was able to do it because usually I all my friends know that I think when I get into something that like I have to fix it, or it's gonna like eat me up the whole day.
Mm.
And especially if it's something that like with my lights in the car and like, where I don't want to get pulled over, and all this stuff. So that's why I was like, I need to figure this out, and especially because I had went to AutoZone and I thought they were gonna change it for me because I was like, oh, like why would I get my
Yeah,
hands
yeah.
dirty? And then he was like, "Oh," he's like, "Well, honestly, I don't really know how to do it." And I was like, "Okay, well, never mind."
Damn.
I'm like, "I'll do it
Okay.
myself, I guess." And
Yeah.
so I think it's just, but it's okay because I feel like I like to learn new things. So now I know how to do that.
There you go. Okay. Okay. Well, my fun fact's nowhere near as applicable, I think.
Mhm.
But I learned today that bananas, tasty fruit, a lot of people enjoy them, are technically in the berry family, but
Oh,
strawberries are not in the berry family. So it has to do with like this is getting really into like the biology of it all and how plants differentiate, but it
Uh-huh.
has to do with like how many ovaries the fruit has. So strawberries have multiple ovaries from a flower with multiple ovaries, whereas bananas come from a single ovary.
That
Um,
is so
so
crazy.
apparently, berries have to come from a flower with a single ovary. I never knew that. I'd be super curious where the misnaming originated from. Like that sounds like one of those things that for people that are like super into plant life and the science of all that, that's like a fun, a constant thing they like to bring up as something that like pesters them to be like, well, you know, the strawberry you're eating is technically not a berry.
Yeah,
But hey, more
that
you
is
know,
so
right?
crazy. I did not know that. I love knowing random facts.
Yeah, you know, you never know when you'll be on Jeopardy one day, and
Yeah.
there might be a question. I
Yeah.
meant to ask. So at UCF, what are you studying?
I'm studying psychology right now.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yes. I am
Any
trying to
particular
do
field of psych or
the industrial organizational track right now.
really?
Yes.
So
And
I don't know if you got a chance to see one of my previous episodes that came up, but
mhm.
I interviewed my younger brother and
Oh,
his
yes.
partner.
Mhm.
They are IO professors. They went through the whole UCF track. My brother did the master's program first, and then the PhD, and did the full PhD. So I'm quite familiar through like mitosis and proximity of
Yeah.
like the stuff that they've done. But that's cool. Wow.
Yeah. That is what I'm going for, and I'm planning to do a certificate for cyber tech after I'm finished.
Okay.
Just because I'm really into technology, but I don't think I'm in it enough to do a degree in something
Mm-hmm.
like that. But I still would want to have that knowledge at least.
Sure. How'd you find yourself finding interest in IO?
I my mom, she works for the Navy, and she was telling me that there are some careers that are what is it called, like behavioral psychologist, but it's for how to like figure out how to position certain things to make engineers life easier.
Yeah.
So that type of career kind of interested me because I, as much as I love psychology in the sense that I like to learn about the brain and all the stuff that comes with it, but I don't think I am the person to be like sitting in a chair and
Mm.
figuring out how to help people in that aspect. So I feel like
Like
I'm more,
counseling.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm more of a office type of psychologist. So
Okay.
I was like curious about other careers. So originally I was doing a track in neuroscience, and then I always get questioned like, well, what are you gonna do with your degree? And I was like, I don't know. And they're like, oh, well, you have to get your master's and you have to all this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I realized I'm like, I have to actually have a degree that's gonna lead me somewhere, than just saying that, well, at least I'll graduate. So it was one of those.
Sure.
That's how I ended up with that type of track.
Okay, very nice. Yeah, you know the stuff I've heard, and I've become really close friends with a lot of Matt's cohort from his PhD program.
Hmm.
Um, it's been really fascinating seeing the subsects of IO and or like the things that people focus on. So, for example, one of my friends, her name's Megan. Shout out Megan. She studies. She just finished her PhD, so she actually just defended her dissertation.
Yeah.
But her focus was on gratitude
Mm.
and how that can affect the day-to-day life of a worker. And you know, I think a lot of that stuff gets undervalued as far as what our daily lives look like when so much of that is like so many of our hours go into this stuff. So why not try to make it as efficient and better as possible? So
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. It's a really fascinating subsect of stuff.
Yeah.
Are you also working, or are you just full time student?
Right now I'm just a full-time student. I do some Uber Eats sometimes on the side when I really when I really want something, if I really wanna buy
Sure.
something.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
but for the most part, I just do school.
Okay, I got you. I gotta say before we move on to like diving a little bit back into our high school time, I've seen your like some of your posts when I think because you've been to South Korea, right?
Yes.
And I know you're really into K-pop as
Yes.
well. It's incredible the stuff you've been able to participate in and engage in. I'm always seeing this stuff. I'm like, man, I'm jealous. Like that's super cool. But I know these fandoms are incredibly big and really diehard. A lot of my students are really into them as well. What's your fandom that you've been riding for?
Like K-pop wise, like my
Yeah,
groups, I'm a big BTS fan and 17. Those are
17.
my top 2 groups.
Okay.
And I'm gonna see BTS actually next Saturday in Tampa.
Wow. Okay. So you're just how many times have you seen them? Well, BTS was not on tour or not
Yeah,
together for a little while, right? So
yeah. The last time I saw BTS was in 2021. But 17 I saw recently in October. And I ended up barricade, so it was really, 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 really crazy.
wow.
Um,
Wild.
and then I'm actually gonna go to Albuquerque next month to see another group, but they're like a little group. They're not that popular, but I saw them with their first tour when they were in Orlando, so
Mhm.
I wanted to go see them for their second tour.
You know, okay, so I have a theory and my friends called me crazy for this, but
Mhm.
this might be the craziest thing. I might have to like put some money on this if it ever happens. But you know how like mega successful Bad Bunny's performance was at the Super Bowl?
Yes.
After something like that was able to be as successful and impactful as it was, I genuinely turned to my friends when we were watching the game last year or earlier this year, and I said, okay, well, the next step is BTS,
Yeah,
like, or like a mega big K-pop group that is has worldwide influence. And I understand that, like, to someone not in the norm or not in the lingo of it all, it seems like super niche.
like
I'm like,
crazy.
guys, yeah, I'm like, guys, you don't understand
Yeah,
how this has influenced everything. I mean, look at K-pop Demon Hunters. That was such a
yeah,
huge worldwide hit, inspired obviously by K-pop.
yeah. And it's so funny because a lot of people have been guessing that, and most times when a lot of people guess stuff, it actually does come true. And
Mm.
especially now because they've just been back in the public, they've gotten a lot of interview questions if they would ever want to do the Super Bowl,
Oh,
and they're always like, "Oh yeah, it would be a dream if we had time," all this stuff. So,
yeah, yeah.
it's very, very possible for it to happen.
Now, final question before we finally move into the high school stuff. If they did the Super Bowl performance, is that one of those like I know you've seen them before and you will be seeing them again? Would you just be like, I gotta find a way?
I feel like I would see them on my TV. I think I
Okay,
think the amount of money that I would spend to see to see BTS at the Super Bowl, I think I could probably see them like 4 times in Korea with
that's
ticket,
probably true.
with all that stuff. Yeah, I would have to pass, but I would be a big, big fan on the side.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. So, as you know, a big talking point of my of the podcast is I like to reflect on our time when we were in high school and when we were teenagers and how life was back then. When you think back to that time, so you took my class sophomore year, so that would have been like 15, 16
Yes.
ish. Okay. Is there a moment from it could be my class, it could just be high school in general that really stands out to you?
Yes, actually, I thought about this a lot, and I was like thinking, I'm like during that time, I think like I mentioned, I had just come back from living with my dad for a year, so a lot of friendships that I had developed in middle school kind of faded because obviously once you get into high school, it's like everybody kind of meets new people from different middle schools and all this stuff. So,
Yeah.
um, I think at that time, I feel like everything kind of already was established in like the friends that I had. They already had their kind of their own friends. And I think I remember, I was trying to, eat with my friends at lunch, and I felt like very, very weird. So I would just end up like at the library, and obviously you can't eat there. So I think I would just kind of just spend my time there and I'll be like, "Okay, like, I'll eat at home," and then I think I remember one day I was like, "Well, like, if Angie's class is after lunch," I was like, "I might as well just go sit there and see if I can sit there before lunch," because I had nowhere else to go, and I think at that time, I just ended up doing that every day, and I think, um and then obviously that's when I would start eating there, and then I feel like I had finally like had like a little safe place to be in where I could just eat and everything,
Yeah.
and I think that was like the biggest moment for me because I know we would talk about recipes and we would talk about movies and all that stuff, and
Yeah, yeah.
so I think that was like a moment that always stuck with me because if it wasn't like if I didn't have your class to sit at, I don't know what I would have done during lunch that whole entire year.
Yeah. I've had students who've told me like, and it's not necessarily kids that had end up eating lunch in my room, but I had kids who told me that prior to finding a comfortable space for them, because I get it, it's not just how hot it feels outside most of the year,
Yeah,
but it's also just how crowded everything gets, and loud. But I've
yeah,
heard there's been students who tell me that sometimes during lunch they just sit in the bathroom,
yeah,
and ignoring the hygienic stuff around that. It's just like it's sad. If
mhm,
it's like you don't necessarily need to be ultra socializing, but
yeah,
simultaneously you'd want to be somewhere relatively comfortable. um I've been lucky that over the years I've had various kids that will pop in. Some kids, like when I taught you guys, would come in daily, and we'd have lunch together.
yeah,
I've never minded that. I know teachers, it can be kind of a soft subject for some teachers where I don't judge them at all when they say I need my me time. I need to
yeah,
decompress, and I totally understand that. Um, I think if I'm having a bad day, I might be more forward with someone and say like, "Hey, I just need to be alone for a little bit." But
yeah,
overwhelmingly, it never phased me because even if I'm not in the conversation, which most times I wasn't necessarily directly in the conversation, I have no problem with people being in my room and chatting and just winding down because I can do my own thing at my desk too.
yeah,
Um, so that was always something that I do remember really fondly. I I feel like the last couple years it hasn't been as prominent. I do have kids a couple times that will pop by who I taught a couple years ago who are now like finishing high school. So they
yeah,
give me more like updates. They're more like, "Hey,
yeah.
I haven't seen you in a couple months. Here's life. Here's how things are going," and I always appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I never minded that. That wasn't something that was an issue for me per se.
Oh, I was like, I think especially because like, since, like, you were, like, new, I think, like, I think maybe now you'd be like, "Oh, like, leave me alone, whatever." I think during that time, I'm pretty sure I think I was one of the only people that would eat there during lunch because everybody else had a life, and
Yeah.
then eventually me sitting there, I think, like, more people started sitting there during lunch, and that's when I, like, had met, like, Jasmine
Hmm.
and all that stuff. And so I think it was pretty cool because eventually people started to eat there and all this stuff. And then at first I was like, why is everybody in my space? Why is like I'm like, who invited anybody?
Oh man. Yeah.
And but I think it was fun because I feel like that's kind of like how our class kind of got to know each other better, especially for people who just wanted to sit there before
Yeah.
class.
Yeah. I agree. And I was thinking about this when I was speaking with Brianna.
Hmm.
Your guys' class was my first full standalone class, like by
Yeah.
myself, because
Hmm.
I started the year before in January when I took over for a teacher who was retiring, and
Yeah.
that was great. But I very much was just following direction. I didn't want to rock the boat with those kids, and uh, it was all good. Like there was no major problems. But your
Yeah.
class was the first full year that I got to just kind of explore and try things on my own and see what works, see what doesn't work. Um,
Yeah, like your
it's
seating
kind of
charts?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I miss those little triangles. That was a fun.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy now that I think about it because I'm in a different classroom now. I'm in a slightly larger room next door.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's kind of crazy when I think like how I was able to fit
So many
the
kids.
room. Yes, so many kids, but also the room and the style that I ended up doing because, like, I know kids would always joke about this with me, but, like, I pace a lot when I lecture,
Mhm.
so it's, like, pretty normal for me to do a lot of
Go in
figurative.
circles? Yeah.
Yes, yes,
That's how you
but
would see if people were sleeping.
yeah, I mean, you gotta have a wandering eye, you gotta look
Yeah.
around and make sure everyone's doing their thing. Thinking back, I'm like, man, the room I'm in now sometimes feels a little tight if I set
Yeah.
up the room or the desk in a certain way. So it is truly something that I think back to my time, when I was in that classroom and the kids I had. It feels like such a different time for me.
Mhm.
When I moved into the new classroom, this was also right around COVID. It's a whole nother chapter of my teaching career,
Yeah.
and not in a good or bad way. It's just different.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been something I've been able to really appreciate. When you were in high school, did you feel like you had things figured out as far as like for your future, or were you still kind of searching?
I think around that time, I feel like I think like any teenager where it's like, "Oh, like, well, I know exactly what I wanna do," and all this stuff. I think at that time, I wanted to live in California, and I wanted to go to
Oh wow,
UCLA, um, or Stanford, and I was like, "Oh," 'cause, I wanted to live, uh, across the country basically, and I thought that I was gonna, be living over there, and so I always had that idea of, like, that's what I was gonna do. Like, I never thought that I was gonna be, um, here, basically, like, living here,
sure.
but that's I think at during that time, I thought that I had it figured out, like, "Oh, like, eh, I can do it all, like, myself, and I don't need help," and all that stuff, so it was really crazy mentality to have at, like, 16.
I think that's totally normal. I think it's very adventurous and just being willing to say, yeah, I'm gonna do everything, and I'm gonna go cross country and live a totally new life or whatever. um,
Yeah,
I also think it's part of that growth process of needing a little distance. I know you're still
yeah.
in Orlando, but obviously, I don't know, do you still live with your parents or mom?
Yes, I still live with my mom,
Okay.
but it's so much better. Wait, that's not a word. It's better now. It is
Okay,
better
okay.
now, a lot better. So I think, I'm comfortable. So I feel like I don't have the, like, the feeling of, like, I need to go. I
Yeah,
think
yeah, and not to
yeah.
mention, I mean, you've already taken international trips, so
Yeah.
it's not like you're always being watched over or
Yeah,
babysat or
exactly.
anything. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's so rare from my experience to for the things that we think will happen or plan to happen occur perfectly.
Yeah.
Um, it's actually a big reason why I think there's a lot of things that should change about high school and how the schooling system works, but one big thing that I think should be a shift is more of a transition into preparing you for adulthood in general
Mhm.
versus hyper specific classes or hyper specific courses. Or I think those things are good too, but when you don't have like a well balanced student, let's put it that way,
Yeah.
you can find yourself senior year or even freshman year of college wondering, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
And this is why I think there's such a massive dropout rate of freshman year of college too. Is like it's not just kids not even being ready for what college is going to be for them, but it's also just no clue, having zero idea of like, what am I supposed to do here?
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe that'll come down in the future, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but I have a question I love to ask all my guests as well. This is another one of our signature segments that I ask. But if you had the opportunity to sit in front of your 16, 17, 18-year-old self, what would you tell them?
Um, I think my 16-year-old self, I think I would tell them that, I think time really does heal. I feel like it's
Mm,
cheesy to say, but I think it it really is true. I think, me at 16 is, like, so crazy different than how I am now, I think, during that time, which is insane. That time, I think, literally, I think it was, like, probably the worst year of my life, and which is so crazy because, like, I had it was so, like, different opposites of, like, being in school and then, like, where I had a like, I had fun, like, my classes and everything, even though I had, like, my things with, like, other students sometimes, but for the most part, it was a lot better than being home. And I
Sure.
think, at that time, I was also just really easily agitated and and angry at everything. So I think, I would tell myself that it just takes time, because it felt like it was one of those things where it felt like nothing was ever gonna change, and 10 years from now, it felt like forever, and
Of
now
course.
I'm a lot older than I was, like almost 10 years. So it's really different of how I was living at 16 and how I live now. So I think that's what I would tell myself, to just wait. Like it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Do you think younger version of Natalie would believe you?
I don't think so. I think at that time, I think 16-year-old me was everything was taken like really personal. I feel like it would I she would have not taken it, like, "Oh, you're right," like some
Yeah,
good
yeah.
advice. I think it would be like, "Oh, yeah, sure. Sure it does." That I feel like that's how I would be. Oh my gosh.
No, I hear you because I mean, like, I've tried myself and many adults with me when I was younger. It's this fruitless effort, I think, of trying to incite wisdom into people younger than you and say, I've been here before. Don't fall for
Yes.
the same traps. But like so often you have to learn the hard way, right? You kind of have to learn through your own personal experiences. And
It's
it's not,
so
I don't, go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, I was gonna say it's so crazy to me because it's always one of those things where like, parents always say like, "Oh, well, when you're older, you're gonna understand all this stuff." I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm not gonna understand anything.
Yeah.
And then I feel that way like with my sister, which is so funny to me because I was thinking about it. I was like, oh my gosh, like you even met her when she was like super, super tiny, like
Oh,
right when I had
she
just
was little.
graduated.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
And now she's gonna be 10, and, she's so, like, annoying in her own way, and I'll tell her, like, like, "Don't do this because I like," or, "Do this so that way, like, mommy doesn't get mad," and all this stuff, and she's like,
Hmm.
"Oh, well, no, like, you're lying," and it's one of those things where, like, she never believes me, and I have just come to the conclusion where it's like she's not gonna care what I say. I could tell her, like, every secret possible, with
Yeah.
getting through life, and she's like, "Oh, well, what do you know?" Oh, and
Oh,
every
yeah.
time it's like it makes me so like angry sometimes because I'm like, I'm telling you because I know. And I just remember like my mom, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like my mom, she really went through it with me because I look at my sister and I'm like, oh my God, like you do not even know like the half of it. And
The
so
prophecy coming true.
yes, basically, it's insane.
Yeah. I think it's part of like us growing up. It's part of the rebellion of discovering who you want to be and not just following what your parents or adults have always told you to be.
Yeah,
And even if it's in good intentions, it's very much something that you're like fighting at all times.
yeah.
Um, but it's part of growing up. It's part of that growth process. When you look back at high school, is there something that you see that you, or is there something you can recognize now that you're proud of that you didn't necessarily realize back then?
That from me being proud of when I was younger.
Hmm.
I think back then, I think I would say that I'm proud of how, mm, maybe I was able to keep up with school for the most part. I think,
I mean, you were an
I
excellent student. First of
I
all, I never had a
at least in
single
your
problem.
class. At least in your class.
True
I
enough. True enough.
I think, it was so funny because I think in your class, I had maybe the lowest grade I've ever had was a B, and it killed me. And I think, I think overall though, I think for how my life was going at the time, like living with my stepdad and everything, I honestly thought at that time that I was like never gonna like finish anything, like, or I would have had like, really terrible grades and all that stuff. But I think I'm proud because I feel like I could have ended up a lot worse and like how I would be now. I honestly thought that I was gonna grow up and be more of an angry person and all this stuff. But
Sure.
I think looking back now, I think for being 16 and kind of going through all that stuff, I think it like it obviously it could suck to be like, oh well, like I'm matured a little quicker because of the situations that I was going through. But I think for the most part it was for the best. And I think I obviously really I learned how to um like change with like circumstances, like I not change as I go, kind of be flexible,
Yeah.
I guess.
Mhm.
So I think I'm really proud of myself for that because I think I was able to handle a lot at that age than I feel like I should have.
For sure. I mean, perseverance, grit, those are things that often comes with experience, and it can either go one of two ways in more cases than not, where you either pick yourself back up and say, okay, we can keep pushing, we can
Yeah,
we can get through this, or like you said, it goes really south really fast. And that's the really sad thing I see so often is kids that have a lot of potential, or for all intents and purposes we're doing really well, and then something happens. Sometimes it could be something in their control, many times it's things out of their control, and it totally derails them.
yeah,
And getting back on those tracks is a lot easier said than done.
yeah,
So yeah, that's something definitely that I think sets you up in your future, and especially now in your adulthood with more
hmm,
success, because challenges are always going to happen. There's always going
yeah,
to be things that knock us down, right? But it's a matter of being able to say, hey, I can get back up.
yeah.
So now that we're kind of getting towards the end here, what's something you feel like you're actively working on or working towards? I know you said earlier you're getting closer and closer to finishing your degree, so that's incredibly awesome, and I'm sure you're super happy and proud of that. Is
Yes.
there anything else that you're also working towards?
I think at the moment, not really. I think I just some short-term goals like going to the gym and all that type of stuff. I think as of right now, I want to still continue traveling. Um my mom thinks it's funny that I always want to go to Asia, but I tell her that Asia has so many countries left that I
Yeah, of
haven't gone
course.
to. And I think that's one of my my goals for sure
What would
is
be your
to
next
travel.
country if you could choose?
I really wanna go to Vietnam or the Philippines.
Ooh,
Um,
okay,
I think those are or like Thailand. I think I really wanna do a more tropical type
yeah,
of country. Um, but for the most part, I think that's really it. Besides my school and everything, I think trying to be a little bit more disciplined in my day and not letting my day pass by because I wanna be in bed all day.
sure,
Um
sure.
And so
Procrastinating, yeah.
yeah, and I think trying to be someone that can be depended on. So,
Hmm.
like I help my mom out in the house and with my sister, and I've been doing photography for my brothers, for him for because he does soccer. So,
Nice.
I've been doing photography for my dad and everything. So it's been cool because I feel like after I came back from Korea, I think I have been able to integrate myself more
Yeah.
in my family. So I think it's really cool. So that's what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to make sure everyone I get spend time with everybody.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Have you picked up some Korean?
Yes, it's so funny. I was there for 8 months studying Korean, and
8 months. Were you there
yeah,
for school?
yes, I was studying Korean.
Oh,
I
no
was
way. That's really
yeah,
cool. Okay.
yeah, I was studying there. I honestly, I think I know more. like reading, like I could read Korean, I just couldn't have a conversation. And
Mm,
which I learned the reason why is because it was so funny because in my class I was the only one that was American. Everyone else was Chinese or from the UK or
okay.
Spain, whatever. And I realized that English grammar is so different than any grammar in the world, of course.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was one of the only ones that like was struggling so much because I could not make sense of having to because everybody else could just plug in the words. That's what the teacher would always say. Oh, just plug in the words with what you would say in a sentence. For me, I had to switch the grammar around
Mm,
and then plug in the words, which I never understood because I couldn't tell you now what really is a subject, verb, or an
oh,
adjective. So
that's such a
so
yeah.
I struggled so much, but I know how to read it. Like when I read it, I could tell you like the gist of it, but I could
Okay.
not have a conversation. But for sure, when I every time that I do go, I do have my little questions on like how much is this,
Yeah, yeah.
where all the what, how, who, where, all those type of things. But for the most
Do you
part,
feel like
I
you know enough to like understand the lyrics of most songs?
Yeah, which is so crazy because obviously when I would listen to K-pop and songs in Korean and all this stuff, I would obviously just go with the vibe and then I would read the lyrics afterwards. But then after learning Korean, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what he's saying. Like that's the word that is in the lyric. And
Okay.
for a while I tried to self-teach myself by looking at lyrics and trying to plug in the words, but then I just
Mhm.
got even more confused and it just didn't work from there. But
That's
yeah,
fair.
I only learned a couple, but I do know how to read Korean, so that's
Okay,
cool.
that's impressive. No, that's really impressive. Trilingual.
Yes, a little bit.
Okay, okay. Well, I mean, you're getting there, but more than me,
Yeah.
that's for damn sure. The Philippines, I've heard, is beautiful. I grew up with a lot of Filipino friends, and it's so funny when I first learned more properly about the Philippines and like Tagalog food and everything. I think this is like a common thing that many Filipino people experience, and I'm sure you've experienced this being Latina yourself. The Filipino people are often like perceived as like the Latinos of the Asian
Yeah,
world.
yeah.
Not just like looks, but also I would say food and even like
Mhm.
some cultural aspects of it. It's so
And some
crazy how I've
words.
yeah, even some words. I've met people where I'm like, "Oh, you're Latino, right?" And they're like, "No, I'm not Latino."
Yeah. It's like my mom always gets confused for being Filipino too, which is so crazy because I love like the just like learning about history and all that
Mhm.
stuff. So I think it's really crazy how integrated the Philippines is with
Oh,
like
sure.
Latino people.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. Have you been to Japan?
Yeah, I went to Japan, this past summer, and I also went to China.
Wow.
I was also in Korea, and I went to Bali.
Wow, okay, so you've been quite the traveler, the wanderlust, okay.
Yeah, it was well, this
That's
summer.
really cool.
Yeah, it was so funny because I had planned that whole, trip, like, a year in advance, and me and my friend, we kinda called it our little world tour. Um, and
Okay.
and so we planned everything obviously beforehand, um but yeah, I think it was really fun that I was able to do that because I was gone the whole summer. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um I was very lucky to be able to do something like that.
My wife and I are going this December. If you had to give one recommendation for Japan, what would you recommend?
To Japan? Oh my gosh. Okay,
We're
let
going to
me
be in
think.
Tokyo and Kyoto.
Okay. Kyoto is really, really nice. I think it's awesome you're going in December because the summer is ridiculous. It's so hot. It is not fun
That's
at
what
all.
I've
It's like
heard.
basically being in Florida, but like times 10. Like
Oh,
it's ridiculous. Um,
yeah.
I think, oh, in the subways, supposedly you're not allowed to really chat it up, but if you're
Mhm.
whispering, like no one cares.
Yeah,
Ta
respectful. Okay.
Taxis are incredibly expensive. You
Mhm.
have to be out of the city or like back like wherever you're staying um by 11 because I think the last train is 11:30 and then the next train won't come until 5:30. So
Okay.
yeah, so you
Good to
you know
know.
because and unless like you're staying like right in the city, a taxi will be like $100 to get you maybe
Oh,
somewhere
man.
20 minutes. It's really really crazy.
Wow.
There is a really nice sushi place that is in Tokyo that you stand and they make it in front of you, and they kind of just you kind of just order as you go. And another thing is that, oh, Shibuya lights, they turn off after 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Well, I appreciate all the feedback. You know, I've been planning this trip also for a long time, and it's on my bucket list. So I'm so excited. But everyone who's been has only said wonderful things. So it's a bucket list for me.
I think for the most part, it was really fun. They have so many obviously things to do. Um, I think for sure the food really stuck out to me.
Okay.
But I think in Kyoto it was really cool because they have this, I think it's like a temple garden type of thing. I think it's where the famous little red
Yes, the
bars.
Itadori gates. Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
those. And if we got there late, so we couldn't do anything there. But if you get there early, they can give you, like, a fortune. You can get, like,
Oh,
some
cool.
souvenirs where you can, take with you or, like, make wishes and stuff like that. And they kind of give you, like, your own fortune. It's really, really cool. So if you get there a little earlier, like, you're able to do those stuff, but when we got there, they had, like, just closed. So we were only able to walk through it, but we weren't able to do anything else. The good thing is that you're going in the winter, so you're not gonna have to worry about mosquitoes and
It does get kind of
spiders.
cold. I was looking at the weather from last year in Tokyo and
Oh,
Kyoto.
it's gonna be freezing. It's gonna
Okay,
be cold.
okay,
It's
okay,
gonna be
okay. I
cold.
mean, listen, it's weird. I live in Florida. I actually prefer the cold way
Oh,
more.
yeah.
I like wearing a coat. I like the beanie. I like dressing up a little
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually planning a trip to go to Korea again, at the end of the year for New Year's.
bit.
Um,
Ooh,
so
nice.
so I know it's gonna be cold because when my friend was there in the winter, she said that, like, her lashes were, like, kinda getting freezing. It does get really, really cold, but based on how it was this past summer, I think I just need to try out winter and see
You'll take
how.
that, yeah,
I'll take that.
yeah.
And,
I hear
hot
you.
packs are awesome. Hot packs are sold in the
Hot
convenience stores.
packs. Okay,
Those are
okay.
really, really nice, and they're really cheap. And I think what else? Highballs are really popular over there. Those are really good.
Yes, I've had a couple here in the states. Obviously, it originates in Japan, so I'm really
Yeah.
excited to try some really exotic drinks and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
uh, I love sake as well. It's one of the few alcohols that I can enjoy.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it for sure. But Natalie, I really appreciate you spending all this time with me. Is there any final sentence or thing you want to share with the audience?
I think I don't really think so. I was kind of preparing like what to say this whole day because it's like one of those things when you have like something to do in the day, you're like I can't do anything else because I have something like later at night. And I think it was very fun to catch up with you again. I was telling my mom that uh I was gonna talk with you, and I always tell everybody that you are my favorite teacher until
I
the end
appreciate
of
it.
time. I think my life in general would have been so different if I had never met you. So I think this is super cool what you're doing, and I think it was so much fun catching up with you.
Perfect. I appreciate that. And you know, I've talked to other people about like possibly getting on the podcast with me, and sometimes they get very not defensive, but kind of shelled up about like, oh, I don't know what I'd say. And it's like the point is, yes, I have some questions and stuff I love asking, but it's just meant to be a conversation. You know, it's just catching up literally and going over like how our lives are going, and that's the natural flow, I
I think
guess.
I actually wrote like 4 pages on like
Oh my
an
god.
answer to like each individual question because I was
Uh
like I need to know exactly what I'm going to say so that way I'm not here like talking about something random that has nothing to do with the question.
I may
So
need like a behind the scenes of like the extended cut of Natalie's answers
I'll have
to
to
all
give you
these
all the
questions that weren't
answers
asked.
because every answer you had, I have an answer to.
Oh, okay, okay. So you were thorough. You were
Oh,
prepared.
this was very important to me.
I'm so glad that you prepared that way then. But hey, I once again I want to really thank you for being here and catching up with me today. If you guys enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who could use a reminder that growth isn't always linear. Follow us on Instagram at the Catching Up Podcast for clips every Friday and new episodes every Wednesday. And thank you for listening to Catching Up, where conversations continue beyond the classroom. I'll see you next time.